I am not an American citizen. The words exploded from Sophia Blackstone's mouth like a bomb going off in the packed federal courtroom. Every person in the room, lawyers, reporters, security guards, froze in complete shock. The billionaire tech mogul stood tall in her $50,000 designer suit, her emerald eyes blazing with fierce confidence. She held up a mysterious gold-sealed document that looked ancient and important. "This paper proves I belong to the sovereign nation of Atlantica," she declared, her voice echoing off the marble walls. "Your American laws mean nothing to me. Nothing." Judge Harrison's gavel slipped from his trembling hand and clattered to the floor. In 30 years on the bench, he'd never seen anything like this. "Miss Blackstone, you were born in Detroit, Michigan. You—" "Wrong!" Sophia slammed her fist on the defendant's table so hard that water glasses jumped. "I was born in international waters aboard my father's yacht. That makes me a citizen of Atlantica, a floating nation that exists beyond any country's control." The prosecutor shot to his feet. "Your Honor, this is absurd. There's no such thing as—" "Sit down, peasant," Sophia snarled. "I don't answer to your government. I don't pay your taxes. I follow no American laws because I'm not one of you." She pulled out her phone and started filming herself. "America, watch me prove that I'm untouchable. I'm about to do something that would send any of you to prison for life, but nothing will happen to me because—" Her finger hovered over a red button on her phone screen. "I'm going to transfer $10 billion to North Korea right now, and you can't stop me." The courtroom erupted in chaos as FBI agents rushed toward her, but Sophia just smiled wickedly. Her finger was already moving toward the button when the lights suddenly cut out, plunging everyone into complete darkness. 3 months earlier, Sophia Blackstone wasn't always crazy. At least, that's what her assistant Emma thought, as she watched her boss pace back and forth in the 60th floor office overlooking New York City. "The IRS audit came back," Emma said quietly, holding a thick envelope like it might explode. They want a lot of money." Sophia stopped pacing. Her perfectly styled black hair caught the morning sunlight streaming through the massive windows. "How much?" $2 billion in back taxes, plus penalties. For the first time in years, Sophia Blackstone looked scared, really scared. Her tech company, Blackstone Industries, was worth $15 billion, but most of that money was tied up in stocks and investments. $2 billion in cash would hurt bad. "There has to be a way out of this," she whispered, more to herself than to Emma. That's when her phone rang. The caller ID showed a number she didn't recognize, but something told her to answer it. "Miss Blackstone?" The voice on the other end was old, scratchy, and had a weird accent. "My name is Professor Augustus Crane. I have information about your tax situation." Sophia's heart stopped. How did this stranger know about her private IRS problems? "I don't know what you're talking about," she lied. "Oh, but I think you do. You see, I have discovered something extraordinary about your birth certificate. Something that could change your life forever." Emma watched as her boss's face went pale. Sophia had never talked about her childhood or her parents. It was like her life started the day she founded her company. "What kind of information?" Sophia asked, her voice barely a whisper. "The kind that could make all your American problems disappear. Meet me tonight at Pier 47. Come alone." "And Miss Blackstone?" "Yes?" "Bring your birth certificate, the real one, not the fake one you've been using all these years." The line went dead. Sophia stared at her phone, her hands shaking. Emma had never seen her powerful boss look so terrified. "Sophia? What's wrong? Who was that?" But Sophia was already grabbing her coat and heading for the door. She turned back one last time, her eyes wild with fear and something else, hope. "Emma, cancel all my meetings. I'm about to discover who I really am." The door slammed shut. leaving Emma alone with a terrible feeling that everything was about to change forever. The fog rolled in thick over Pier 47 as Sophia's high heels clicked against the wet wooden planks. She clutched her leather briefcase tighter, feeling the weight of her real birth certificate inside, the one she'd hidden in her personal safe for 30 years. A figure emerged from the shadows. Professor Augustus Crane looked exactly like she'd imagined. Wild gray hair, thick glasses, and clothes that seemed to belong in a different century. But his eyes were sharp and knowing. "You came," he said, his voice carrying that same strange accent from the phone. "Good. We have much to discuss." "Who are you?" Sophia demanded, trying to sound brave. "How do you know about my birth certificate?" The old man smiled and pulled out a yellowed newspaper clipping. The headline made Sophia's blood run cold. "Billionaire's daughter born at sea. Shipping magnate's yacht delivers baby in international waters." "Your father, Marcus Blackstone, was more than just a wealthy businessman," Professor Crane explained. "He was the secret founder of Atlantica, a floating nation that exists beyond any country's laws." Sophia's legs felt weak. "That's impossible. My father died when I was 5. He ran a small shipping company." "Small?" Professor Crane laughed. "Child, your father owned the largest fleet of ships in the world. But more importantly, he discovered something extraordinary in international waters 35 years ago." The professor opened an ancient-looking briefcase and pulled out maps, documents, and photographs that looked like they belonged in a museum. An abandoned oil platform, far from any country's control. Your father turned it into Atlantica, a floating nation where the world's most powerful people could live beyond the reach of any government. Sophia stared at a photograph of a massive structure rising from the ocean. It looked like a floating city, with buildings, roads, and thousands of people. "You're telling me this place is real?" "More real than you know. And as the daughter of its founder, born in international waters, you are its rightful ruler." He pulled out a gold-sealed document, the same one she would wave in the courtroom months later. "This is your certificate of Atlantican citizenship. It makes you immune to the laws of every nation on Earth." Sophia's hands trembled as she touched the document. All her tax problems, all her legal troubles, they could just disappear? "But there's a catch," Professor Crane continued, his voice turning dark. "What kind of catch?" she whispered. "To claim your citizenship, you must renounce America completely. You must prove that you're willing to break their laws without fear. You must show the world that Sophia Blackstone answers to no one." Thunder crashed overhead as storm clouds gathered. In the distance, Sophia could swear she saw lights on the horizon. Lights that looked like a floating city. "And if I refuse?" Professor Crane's eyes glowed in the darkness. "Then Atlantica disappears forever, and you'll spend the rest of your life in an American prison for tax evasion." Lightning flashed, and for just a moment, Sophia saw something impossible floating on the water behind the professor. Something that changed everything she thought she knew about the world. What Sophia saw on the water wasn't possible. It couldn't be real. A massive ship, no, an entire floating city, rose from beneath the waves like something from a dream. Lights twinkled across its surface as hundreds of buildings emerged from the dark ocean. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "Welcome to Atlantica," Professor Crane said with a proud smile. "Your birthright." Sophia could barely breathe. How is this real?" "Your father was a genius. He built this city to move underwater during the day and surface at night. No government can find us. No laws can touch us." The professor gestured toward a small boat that had appeared at the pier. "Come, let me show you what you're truly inheriting." 20 minutes later, Sophia stood on the deck of the floating nation, surrounded by people in expensive clothes who bowed when they saw her. Everywhere she looked, she saw impossible wealth: gold statues, diamond fountains, and buildings that seemed to float in midair. These are the citizens of Atlantica, Professor Crane explained as they walked through the gleaming streets. The world's richest and most powerful people, tech billionaires, oil barons, pharmaceutical giants, all of them came here to escape the laws of their countries. A woman in a fur coat approached them. "Princess Sophia," she said, bowing deeply. "I'm Margaret Chen, former CEO of Chen Industries. I've been waiting 30 years to meet Marcus Blackstone's daughter." "Princess?" Sophia stammered. "Of course. As founder's daughter, you are our rightful ruler. Your father built this place, but he always said his daughter would one day lead us to total freedom." Professor Crane nodded. "That's why we need you to make the declaration in an American court. Once the world sees that even their laws cannot touch an Atlantican citizen, others will join us. Atlantica will become the most powerful nation on Earth." They stopped at a massive golden palace at the center of the city. "This was your father's home, now it's yours." Sophia walked through rooms filled with treasures from around the world. In the master bedroom, she found a letter on the pillow, written in her father's handwriting. "My dearest daughter, if you're reading this, then you've discovered the truth. I built Atlantica not for money or power, but for freedom. The governments of the world seek to control everything and everyone. Here, we answer to no one but ourselves. Use the citizenship certificate wisely. Show them that some people are truly above their petty laws. Make them fear us. Your loving father, Marcus." Tears rolled down Sophia's cheeks. All her life, she'd felt different, like she didn't belong in the normal world. Now she knew why. "Will you do it?" Professor Crane asked quietly. "Will you claim your throne and free us all from the tyranny of nations?" Sophia looked out the window at the vast ocean surrounding them. Tomorrow, she could return to New York as just another billionaire facing tax problems, or she could become something else entirely. "Yes," she whispered. "I'll make them understand that Sophia Blackstone answers to no one." But as she spoke those words, alarms suddenly started blaring throughout the floating city. Red lights flashed everywhere as Professor Crane's face went pale with terror. "They found us," he gasped. "The Americans, they know we're here." Back in the darkened courtroom, the emergency lights flickered on, casting eerie shadows across the federal courthouse. FBI agents had their weapons drawn, but Sophia just stood there laughing like she'd won some impossible game. "You cut the power?" she asked the terrified judge. "How adorable! You think that stops me?" Agent Rodriguez stepped forward, his voice steady despite the chaos. "Miss Blackstone, we know about Atlantica. We know about the floating city. We know everything." For the first time since entering the courtroom, Sophia's confident smile wavered. 3 months ago, Agent Rodriguez continued, pulling out a tablet that still worked despite the power outage. "Our satellites detected an unregistered structure in international waters. When we investigated, we found something incredible: a floating tax haven where billionaires go to hide their money." Sophia's face went pale. "That's impossible. Atlantica is beyond your reach." "Actually, it's not." The agent swiped to show satellite photos of the floating city. "Because Professor Augustus Crane, the man who convinced you this was all real, is actually Dr. Augustus Crane, a con artist who's been running this scam for 20 years. The courtroom gasped. Sophia stumbled backward like she'd been punched. "The floating nation you visited was just an old cruise ship with fancy decorations. The citizens were paid actors, the underwater city rising from the ocean, advanced holographic projectors that cost him $3 million to set up." "No," Sophia whispered. "My father's letter, the palace, it was all real." Agent Rodriguez held up a plastic evidence bag containing the gold-sealed document. "This citizenship certificate is printed on paper from Office Depot. The seals are made of chocolate wrapped in gold foil." The devastating truth hit Sophia like a truck. She'd been completely fooled. There was no floating nation. There was no diplomatic immunity. She was just a regular American citizen who owed the government $2 billion in taxes. "Dr. Crane has run this con on 12 other billionaires, Agent Rodriguez explained. He finds wealthy people in legal trouble, convinces them they're special, takes their money, and disappears. You paid him $50 million for fake documents and a boat ride. Sophia collapsed into her chair, her entire world crashing down around her. But the city, I saw it rise from the ocean. Hollywood special effects. Dr. Crane used to work for movie studios before he became a criminal. The prosecutor stood up, no longer intimidated. Your Honor, Miss Blackstone has just attempted to transfer $10 billion to a terrorist nation while claiming diplomatic immunity she doesn't have. I recommend immediate arrest for treason, tax evasion, and attempted financial terrorism. As handcuffs clicked around Sophia's wrists, she finally understood the horrible truth. She wasn't a princess, or a ruler, or someone above the law. She was just another rich person who thought money could buy her out of anything. But it couldn't. And as the FBI agents led her away, Sophia realized the most painful truth of all. She had destroyed her entire life, chasing a dream that never existed. Her billions couldn't save her now. Her fake citizenship meant nothing. She was about to spend the rest of her life in prison because she believed she was above everyone else. The judge's gavel came down one final time. Case closed. What did you think of Sophia's shocking downfall? This billionaire truly believed she was untouchable, but her arrogance led to the most epic fail in legal history. From a floating nation that never existed, to chocolate foil diplomatic seals, this con was wilder than any movie plot. Smash that subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you never miss our most unbelievable true stories about the wealthy elite's wildest schemes. Share this story with someone who needs to hear that no one is above the law, not even billionaires with fake citizenship papers.